Me.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. So I want you all to keep revising of the topics that we have discussed. All right, because once section E is over, we are going to have a test. So please start studying right now itself. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So now let's go ahead. Don't switch off the video. Of keep it on all times. Do not switch off the video. Switch it on. I want to see you guys. Why have you all switched it off? Switch it on. Switch on the video.
Ma'am, it's in on, ma'am.
I can't see. I'm not able to see you all. I can't see you all. Why is it not come? Now. No, that is your. I can see you, Durai. Something's wrong.
Ma'am, we are facing a network issue, ma'am.
Okay. But you all are able to see me and hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Shall we go ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now, if you'll remember, guys, when we were calculating the NPV, what is NPV? Net present value, right? So we finished discussing about NPV, which is your net present value. And whenever we were calculating NPV, how do we calculate it? We take all our present value of cash inflow and we deduct our present value of cash outflow. That is what will give me my NPV. And NPV was all about converting our future cash flow to what? To present value. Correct? Your future cash flow to present value. So when you are converting your future cash flow to present value, you always needed one discount rate. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
This is called as discount rate, or it can also be called as weighted average cost of capital, or it can also be called as hurdle rate. So what are these? These are the different names for that same rate. Correct? Now today we're going to discuss more on this discount rate or weighted average cost of capital or your hurdle rate. So you all know that in order to calculate your NPV, we need this discount rate. Without this discount rate, we cannot calculate the NPV. Agreed? Yeah? Because to convert our future cash flows to present value, we need this rate, right? You can, yeah. So, why, like for example, let's say I want to start my own business. Okay. And to start this, I need 25 lakhs. So, I have two options. I can either go for debt or I can go for equity. All right. Or I can go for a combination of both. Okay. So let's say I need 20 lakhs. So let's say 10 lakhs I will take from debt and 10 lakhs I will raise it from equity. Now, those who are giving me the funds, will they give it to me for free, guys? The lenders?
No, ma'am.
No. So if I am raising equity, it comes with a cost. Similarly, if I'm raising debt, it comes with a cost. So this is your cost of equity. This is your cost of debt. So let's say your equity shareholders, they require rate of return is 10%, whereas debt holders, let's say their interest is coming up to 8%. All right. So then you will have to check what is your overall cost of capital. So 10% is what your equity shareholders are demanding. 8% is what the debt holders are demanding for the money that they are lending to you. Because nobody gives anything for free, right? It comes with a cost. So now we've seen that these are the costs. So if I want to know, like for a company, what is the overall cost? Can I simply add 10 plus 8? For company, what is the overall cost of capital? How much is it, guys? Are you guys there? Now the company wants to raise money. It
2
has
lakhs.
raised, huh?
2 lakhs, ma'am.
No, first of all, it is 20 lakhs, not 2 lakhs. And in that 20 lakhs, 10 lakhs I've raised from equity, 10 lakhs I've raised from what? Debt, correct? 10 lakhs from equity, 10 lakhs from debt. Now, those who are giving me the funds, they will not give it to me for free. It comes with the cost. So let's say cost of equity is 10%, which means that the equity shareholders, they want a return of 10%, whereas debt holders want a return of 8%. So for company as a whole, can I say 18% is the cost of capital? Can I say that way? Can I say it that way, that 18% is the overall cost of capital? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You might think yes, but that's not correct. Why? Because the weightage is different, right? So how should we do it? Now in this situation, it was same. So you have to do it this way. You have raised 10 lakhs from equity and the percentage is how much? 10%. So 0.1. Okay, this is equity. Plus you have also raised 10 lakhs from your debt. So you have to take that capital divided by the total capital into the cost of debt, that is 0.08. So now solve this and tell me how much you'll get. Tell me what is the answer. 10 lakhs divided by 20 lakhs. You can just do 10 divided by 20 for quickness by ignoring the zeros into 0.1 plus 10 divided by 20 into 0.08. Add them both and tell me how much you're getting. How much are you getting? So what did you do over here? You checked the proportion out of the total 20 lakhs. How much came from equity? 10 lakhs. So you did 10 divided by 20? Yes or no? How much do you get? 50% came from equity, 50% came from debt. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So how much will it be? 0.5 into 0.1 plus here also 50% came from debt into 0.5 into 0.08. So solve this and tell me how much do you get? 0.5 into 0.1 is how much? 0.05 plus 0.5 into 0.08 is how much? 0.04. So what is the total? 0.09, which is 9%. Correct? Guys, are you all with me? Did you get 9%?
Yes, ma'am.
So you cannot add 10 plus 8 and say 18% is the cost of capital. That is wrong. That is killing maths. Why? Because you have to see out of the total capital, how much came from debt, how much came from equity, and you have to multiply that weight with their respective cost. That's when you get. So for me to start this new business, my overall cost of capital is coming up to 9%. So don't you think that my business should give me at least 9% return? Yes or no? It has to give me at least 9% return. Do you all agree or not?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Durai.
Ma'am, can you teach once more, ma'am?
Sure. Everybody pay attention. Now, let's say I am starting a new business. All right. And I need 20 lakhs. All right. I need 20 lakhs. And I'm going to raise this 20 lakhs through debt and through equity. You know what is the difference between the two, right? From debt,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
taking a debt of 10 lakhs and another 10 lakhs I'm raising through equity. So 20 lakhs I got, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the ones who are giving me the money, the equity shareholders, will they give me money for free? No,
No,
right?
ma'am.
They
No, ma'am.
expect something in return. They want something in return. So they will say that we want 10% in return. All right. Whereas even debt holders, the investors who are giving me the money, will they give it to me for free? No, they will say, I want 8% as return. So, can I say for me, this 10 and 8 is cost, but for the investor, it is a return? Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Because anything you take in this world, for one person it is cost, for the other person it is return. Right? So, can I say for me to get this 20 lakhs, my overall cost of capital is 10 plus 8, 18%? No, I cannot say that. Why? Because the proportions are different. We cannot say that to get this 20 lakhs, my overall cost is 18%. This is wrong. Why? Because the weightage we have not considered. So I will have to check out of the total capital, out of 20 lakhs, 10 lakhs came from debt, right? And what is the cost of it? 8%. So you have to multiply 0.08. Again, out of the total capital of 20 lakhs, how much came from equity? 10 lakhs. But what was the cost of it? 10%. So 0.10. Like this, you have to multiply. So when you multiply and solve this, you will get 9%. What is this 9%? This is the cost to me for raising this 20 lakhs. 9% is the cost of capital. What do I call this? As cost of capital. Now, why did I raise this 20 lakhs? So that I can start a new business. Correct. That is the reason I took this money from debt holders and equity shareholders. Correct. Are you guys with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. So now, don't you think when I'm investing this 20 lakhs which I've collected in a particular project, it has to give me 9% return? Minimum, it should give 9%, yes or no? Why? Why do I
Yes.
say that? Why I'm saying that 9% is the minimum required rate of return? ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆ minimum required rate of return. Why do I say this? Why do I say this, guys? Tell me. Why do I say that 9% is the minimum required rate of return? Think and tell me. Now, if I'm investing in the project, why is that I need 9% minimum? Because I have to pay back to my investors, right? The reason I took this money was because I wanted to start something. And if I'm starting this project has to give me 9% return. Otherwise, how will I pay my investors back? Correct?
Yes,
Did you all
ma'am.
get an idea? That is why it is also called as required rate of return. Because if I don't get this amount, then how will I pay back? Clear? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
So that is why it is also called as required rate of return, hurdle rate. Why hurdle rate? Because I have to cross this. Now, in the new project that I'm starting, I have to get at least 9% because if I don't get 9%, I'll not be able to pay back my investors. So that is the discount rate which we used. Now you'll understood what is the meaning of discount rate when we use it in projects to convert our future cash flows to present value. We were calculating so many NPV problems, and whenever we were doing those NPV problems, we had one discount rate or hurdle rate. It could be 10%, 12%, 16%. Now you understood what is the meaning of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that is called as weighted average cost of capital. Clear? So now give this a read. See over here, everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes,
To
ma'am.
determine the appropriate discount rate to use, you have to start with the optimal capital structure. That is, refers to the funding structure of the composition of long-term debt, common equity, and preferred stock. So now in my example, I took only two sources of finance, that is debt and equity. There are so many other sources of finance. You can take debt, you can take equity, you can take preferred stock. All these are different sources of finance. And all those are giving me funds will not give it to me for free. It comes with the cost. So that is why an optimal capital structure, that means equity capital, preferred capital, debt capital, all these are different forms of capital. An optimal capital structure is the one which minimizes the company's cost of long-term capital. So every management accountant will try to minimize the cost because lower the cost, higher is the value of the firm, right? So lower the cost, it is better, right? Do you all agree?
Yes, ma'am.
So now what did we do? We checked the proportion of each capital component in the optimal capital structure and multiplied its cost to the company. And that is how we got weighted average cost of capital. We saw what is the weight out of the total capital. How much came from equity? We saw the weight. We multiplied that weight with the respective cost. So your weighted average cost of capital is also called as the opportunity cost of capital for the company's existing assets. So your weighted average cost of capital, for small, in short, it is called as WACC. It is the appropriate what? Discount rate. It is the appropriate discount rate for NPV calculations and other capital investment analysis. Correct? In all our NPV problems, we were using this weighted average cost of capital. Any doubts? Do you guys
No,
have
ma'am.
any doubts in the? Yeah. Okay. Now look at this line. Here they're saying the weighted average cost of capital is appropriate discount rate for NPV calculations. Now, if the market risk of the project is the same as the average market risk of existing project, what does this line mean? Now, for example, let's say everyone can see my screen, right? Let's say I'm into food industry, okay? I have one restaurant. I have a restaurant and the cost of capital to start this restaurant, meaning the required rate of return, what I want from this restaurant is 12%. All right. Now I am going to start one more restaurant. Now let's say this is doing good and all of it. Now I want to open one more restaurant, a new branch in another area. In such a case, I can use the same weighted average cost of capital, which is 12% itself. Why? Because why I can use the same? Because the risk is the same. I'm again starting one restaurant itself. Correct? And the capital structure is also the same. Same amount of money I'm again spending in the new branch. So everything is the same. So I can use the same weighted average cost of capital. But now let's change the example a little bit. What if I am in food industry? Now I want to start a cosmetic industry. Now, do you all agree that food industry is very different from cosmetic industry? Are you all there? Do you all agree
Ma'am.
that food industry is totally different from cosmetic industry? Makeup, cosmetic. I mean, cosmetic means makeup.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. So obviously the risk will change now. The risk will change, the amount of
Yes, ma'am.
investment, the capital will change. So in such a case, can I apply the same 12% for cosmetic industry? Will that be correct?
No, ma'am.
No, right? We will have to calculate a new weighted average cost of capital, which will suit that particular industry. I cannot use the same one. Why? Because the risk is changing, the capital structure is changing, and that is when I will have to calculate a new weighted average cost of capital. So now you read this line. What are they saying? The weighted average cost of capital is the appropriate discount rate for NPV calculation if the market risk of the project is the same as the market risk of existing project. Like I said, right? Food industry, again, one more food industry, you can say the same thing. So for the market risk premium to remain unchanged with the capital expansion project, the following condition must be met. That is, new assets that are financed by new capital must not substantially change, and the new capital must be raised in the same proportion. So if these two conditions are met, I can use the same weighted average cost of capital. Clear? Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. Now we are coming across a new word called as marginal cost of capital. Now, what is this marginal cost of capital? In a decision situation, when a company needs to acquire new capital, the management needs to know the marginal. The word marginal simply means additional. Okay, the word marginal simply means additional. So marginal cost of capital is the cost of the next amount of capital to be raised. And what is the cost of the new capital? That means if more than one type of capital is to be raised, the marginal cost of the new capital is the weighted average, which is calculated the same way how you did previously. All right. So this is basically we use marginal cost of capital when we're calculating for a new project which requires additional funding. All right. Okay. So we'll talk about NPV. I mean, marginal cost of capital a little more when we do that part. So here, what are they saying? We know the decision rule, right? If the NPV is positive, we have to accept the project. Why? Because it will help in increasing the shareholders' wealth. Because ultimately, whose money are we investing in these projects? It is the shareholders' money itself, correct?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
And if at all you have a negative NPV, then you have to reject the project. Why? Because even after converting the future cash flows to present value, if it is negative, that means it is a loss-making project. Maybe we have limited funds or certain non-financial factors. Not all projects with positive NPV should be chosen. So we have to also take qualitative aspects into consideration. Clear? So when a company has limited funds to invest, the use of NPV of the projects under consideration enables management to rank the various projects accordingly. So this is the next topic that we are going to talk about. All right. That is ranking of the project. What do you mean by ranking of the project? For example, now this part we've already discussed where I told you all that higher the discount rate, you can call it as weighted average cost of capital, hurdle rate, discount rate. Higher the weighted average cost of capital, lower is the NPV. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
See, at 25%, it is minus 50,000. At 10%, it is positive. So same thing, if we put it in a graph, it looks like this. Correct? Where this, your y-axis is your NPV and your x-axis is the discount rate. Correct? Yeah. So the NPV profile in the line crosses the x-axis at a discount rate a little more than 20%. So if you see over here, the table showing the project-wise various possible hurdle rates and the resulting NPVs are shown at a discount rate, right? So you can see over here at 10%, what is the NPV? It is given over here. Similarly, at what percentage is the NPV zero, guys? Tell me. Look at the graph and tell me at what percentage the NPV is zero. Y'all, I want you to read the graph. See, at which percentage? 20%. So do you see at 20%, the NPV is equal to 0. Correct? In this particular example. So they're saying the table showing project-wise possible hurdle rates and the resulting NPVs at a discount rate of 20%, the NPV is closest to 0. And at discount rate of 25%, it is negative. Correct? So the NPV profile. So next topic, if you remember, I had told you all that there are various investment appraisal techniques. If you remember, we're going to study different methods in the class we had discussed. Where is it? See, where did we write down the different methods? Do you remember this? We discussed about NPV. We discussed about payback, correct? Next, we are going to talk about IRR. Now, what is the meaning of IRR? Have you all heard of this term IRR? You will also be coming across all this when you're doing it in BCom. But of course, in BCom, it won't be like this detailed, like how it is here in CMA. Clear? So it is going to help you guys in BCom as well. So what is the meaning of IRR?
Internal rate of returns.
Yes. Have you all heard of this term or first time?
First time, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what is the meaning of internal rate of return? It is also called as break-even cost of capital. What is the meaning of break-even, guys? Have you all heard of break-even?
No profit, no loss.
Yes, no profit, no loss. So now you think and tell me that if at all NPV is equal to 0, can I say it is no profit, no loss situation? Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
No. Because we've seen, right, if NPV is positive, we accept the project. If NPV is negative, we reject the project. So if NPV is 0, can I say there is no profit, no loss?
Yes, ma'am.
So now why am I calling internal rate of return as break-even cost of capital? Because at IRR, now IRR is a percentage, all right? At this particular percentage, your NPV will be 0. Like for example, which one is IRR? Which percentage is IRR for us in this example? Which example?
20%.
20%. So can I say 20% is equal to IRR? Because at 20%, your NPV is 0. Clear? Is this clear? So IRR. So what is the meaning of IRR? IRR is a rate. IRR is a percentage which will make your NPV 0. Got it? Everybody understood this part?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what they're telling over here. IRR of a project is a discount rate at which the present value of expected after tax net cash inflows equals the present value of expected after net cash outflows. It is the discount rate at which your NPV equals to 0. Okay. Now, what is the decision criteria for me to decide whether to accept or reject? Now, you all remember the decision criteria for all the methods when we spoke about payback. What was the decision criteria? There was target. We have to compare it with target. The company will say that we have to recover the initial investment in 3 years. Now, if your payback period is 2 years, then will you accept or reject?
Can you repeat?
Let's say the target is 3 years and your payback period is coming to 2 years. So, will you accept or reject? What will you do? You remember, no, what is payback period? The time it takes for you to recover your initial investment. Correct? So they have told clearly that only if the project you're able to recover the initial investment within 3 years, you have to accept the project. Otherwise, reject. So will you accept or reject?
Reject, ma'am. Accept, ma'am.
You will accept, right? Because within 3 years you have recovered. Similarly, if the target was 1 year, and you're taking 2 years time, then you will reject because the target was to finish it within a year. Within 1 year, you have to recover. But you're taking 2 years time. That means what? The decision criteria, you will reject the project. So this was the decision criteria for payback period. Similarly, for NPV, what was the decision criteria? If it is positive, you accept. If it is negative, you reject. Same way, now for IRR, what is the decision criteria? What is the decision criteria for your IRR? If your internal rate of return is greater than your cost of capital, you accept. If your internal rate of return is less than your cost of capital, you reject. Makes sense, right? Always your return should be greater than your cost. Yes or no?
Yes, madam.
Clear? So that is the decision criteria. So that is what they're saying. If the project's IRR is higher than the required rate of return, then the management has established for the project and it is acceptable. If it is lower than the required rate of return, then it is not acceptable and should not be considered further. Got it?
Ma'am.
Okay. Now let's see how to calculate the IRR.
Yes, ma'am.
So now, when we are talking about IRR, all right. Now the cash flows can be even or uneven. Now you all know what is the meaning of even and uneven. I'm not talking about odd even. What do you mean by even and uneven?
I mean, even the cash flow will be same.
Very good. If the cash flows are same every year, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. Uneven means they are different every year. So if it is same every year, it is very simple to calculate, guys. How do you do it? Divide the initial investment by after-tax net cash flow. Whatever you get is the annuity factor, and that annuity factor you have to find it in your table and see at which rate it is coming. Okay. For example, everybody has the table, the present value table that will be given to you all in the exam. The present value table. Let me share the tables with you all. Let me share my screen. Remember we spoke about this table? Yes or no? Okay, now look at this. What is happening? Let's try to do this. What should you do when your cash flows are even, guys, to calculate your IRR? You have to take your initial investment and you have to divide it by what? Your cash flows. So, can you all try this problem? How much is the initial investment? How much is the initial investment?
Lakh 50,000.
1,50,000. And how much are you going to get for the next 5 years? See, example, initial investment is how much, guys? Tell me.
1,50,000.
1,50,000. How much is the life? 5 years. Correct? And what is the annual cash flow after tax? How much are they saying it is? Annual after tax? 39,000. And what is the hurdle rate?
8%.
8%. Okay. So they have given it is 39,000 and the hurdle rate. What is the other name for hurdle rate?
Average.
Now you have to calculate your IRR. So can I say the cash flows are same every year? So what is the formula, guys? What is the formula when the cash flows are same every year? Initial investment divided by
Cash flow.
your annual cash flows after tax. So how much are you getting every year? 39,000. So how much do you get? How much? What is your answer? 1,50,000 divided by 39,000.
3.84.
3.84. Now, what is this? This is your annuity factor. Now, you have to go to your annuity table and check at 5 years which percentage you're getting, which is giving you 3.84. So, I will go to my table. This table will be provided to you in the exam. So, which table should I go? Annuity table, right? And present value table. So, I will have to find out. Yeah, this is the table. This is your present value annuity table. Correct? So, can you see for 5th year, where is 3.84 the closest? Check and tell me. We got how much? We got 3.84, right? And 5 years is the life of the project. So, in 5th year, see where 3.84 is the closest and see what percentage is it.
9%.
Can I say 9%? It is the closest.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is this 9%? This is your IRR. So what is your IRR? After checking from the table, we got IRR as 9%. So now you tell me whether I have to accept the project or reject the project. I told you all what is the decision criteria.
Accept.
Why accept? Because why accept? Because IRR is greater than your hurdle rate. 9% is greater than 8%, correct? So that was the decision criteria, right? Whenever the IRR is greater than the cost of capital, what should you do? You have to
Accept. Accept.
accept the project. Understood how to calculate the IRR?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone? So what does this indicate? If I use 9% to convert my future cash flows to present value, how much will be my NPV? How much will be my NPV if I use this rate to convert my future cash flows to present value? What, guys? How much will it be? 0, right? Because IRR is the rate at which your NPV becomes 0. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can we do one more sum?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, let's see. Now, there is something called as BA2 plus Calci, okay, but that's very expensive and it's not really necessary that you have to purchase that calculator, but it is, where is it? Over here. See, when the annual after tax cash flow are not the same. Now we saw when it is same, right? But what if it is not the same? IRR can be found by calculating NPV using trial rates and interpolating method. I'll tell you all how that is done. So the IRR can also be calculated using a financial calculator, but this financial calculator is about 4,000 rupees. So simply why to spend so much? Because they are optional on the CMA exam. Okay. So the calculator policy lists the financial calculators that are authorized to be used on the exam, and only those financial calculators may be used. So some of the allowed permitted models of financial calculators, they've given it in the book, but your normal CALC like this also is allowed. Okay, so don't worry. So if you have that financial calculator, it is easy to calculate your IRR, but just for one sum, buying that calculator doesn't make sense, right? So these are the various, okay. Can I go ahead?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. So now let me give you all one formula, that is whenever the cash flows are uneven, how do you calculate your IRR? It's called as the interpolation method. The formula is L plus NPV at higher rate divided by NPV at higher minus, sorry. NPV at lower rate divided by NPV at lower rate minus NPV at higher rate. The whole thing into H minus L. This is the formula. This is a formula to calculate IRR when the cash flows are not the same. When it is same, you all saw, right, how to calculate IRR. Now, this is how you calculate IRR when the cash flows are not the same. That means you have to calculate two NPVs. One, which will give you a positive NPV, and one which will give you a negative NPV. So you have to take two rates and then you will have to do the math. I'll tell you all how that's done. Let me take one example. Where is the... Let me see if there is any example. of the interpolation. Before that, I want you all to try one sum on even cash flows. Let's say the initial investment is 35,000 and every year I'm going to get 15,000. So can you all tell me what is the IRR? Your time starts now. Do it. Initial investment is $30,000. Life is 3 years. Annual cash flow after tax is 15,000. Hurdle rate or discount rate is 10%. Tell me how much is the IRR. I will share the table with you all in the chat box. You can download it. I've shared the tables with you all in the chat box. Download the table and then I'll give you a 5 minutes time. Tell me what is the answer. Did you all get the answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Check again, Durai. How can it be so less? When the discount rate itself is 10%, how can you get so less? What is the formula? Tell me. What is the formula? Initial investment? What? Divided by
Cash flow.
cash flows. So did you all do? Sorry, make it 35,000. I told 30,000, no? Yeah, even if you take 30,000, it's okay. But so how much will it be? 30,000 divided by 15,000. How much do you get? 2.
No, ma'am.
So this you have to check where? In your table. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So check in your present value table. For how many years you have to check?
Value.
For 2 years? Sorry, not for 2 years. For 3 years. Where is 2 coming? Where is it closest?
Ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah.
you sent future value, ma'am.
What?
Ma'am, in chart you sent future value, ma'am.
You guys have to scroll down. In that all are there. All the 4 tables are there. You have to find the annuity table. See, if you all have not scrolled down only. You have to scroll down. That time you'll find the annuity table. So check and tell me. What's the answer? Check your present value annuity table. Where are you getting the closest to? You got 2, right? So you see where is it the closest? In 3rd year. Where is it?
Ma'am, it's 20%.
Yes, we can say somewhere close to 20% because 2 is closest to 2.106.
Yes, ma'am.
So now tell me whether you have to accept the project or not. We got IRR as 20%. Whereas the
Reject, ma'am.
discount rate is 10%. So
Reject. Reject.
we have to accept, correct?
Reject.
Because IRR is greater than the cost of capital. Correct? Is this clear? Is it clear, guys? Okay. This is the formula. I want you all to take this down. This is the same formula which I wrote over here. What, Nisarga? What? What happened?
Nothing, ma'am.
Take down this formula. Okay. Can you all calculate the NPV of this project? Your time starts now. I have given all the details. I want you all to calculate the NPV.
Ma'am,
Okay. How much is the NPV, guys? Did you all get the NPV?
yes, ma'am.
How much is it?
13,770.
13,770 is the right answer. Everybody else got this answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now if I have to apply this formula, what does it say? IRR is equal to lower discount rate, like how I wrote L over here, plus NPV at lower discount rate divided by NPV at lower minus NPV at higher, the whole thing into H minus L. It is the same formula, but here the wordings are different. So now all of you calculate the NPV. And what was the rate of return, guys? How much was it? How much was it?
10%, ma'am.
It was 10%. Now, and you all got this as the answer, correct? 13,770, which is the right answer. Now I want you all to calculate the same, again, the NPV with the higher rate of interest, because if I have to calculate IRR, I need two NPVs, correct? To calculate IRR, we need two NPVs. One at a lower discount rate, one more at higher discount rate. So now you calculated NPV at 10%, no? Now next you calculate again the same NPV but with the higher discount rate. So which rate can you take? Higher means how much should you take? Let's say 20% because that is higher than 10. Are you guys with me?
Ma'am, can you explain again?
So everybody, for me to calculate now, why did I bring this topic of NPV when we are discussing about IRR? Because to calculate IRR, we need two NPVs, right? And how will we get these two NPVs? One by using a higher rate, like for example, and one by using a lower rate. So now you have already calculated NPV at 10%, correct? At 10% when you calculated, you got your NPV as 13,770, correct? Now this is your NPV at lower rate. Now I want to calculate what is my NPV at a higher rate. So for that I have to use a higher rate. This was 10%, correct? Now I want you guys to use a higher rate. How much is the higher rate? Let's say 20%. So same problem, instead of 10%, now use 20% as the discount rate and tell me what is the NPV. Solve. Understood what I'm asking you all to do? You did the NPV by using 10% rate, right? Now calculate by using 20% rate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, do it and then tell me what is the answer.
Ma'am, minus 5,280.
How much?
Minus 5,280, ma'am.
Okay. So now can I say you have one positive NPV and one negative NPV? Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody. So what was your NPV at lower rate? 13,770. And at higher rate, what is your NPV now?
Minus 5,280.
So can you apply this formula now, guys? Or this formula? It's the same thing. Both are same. What was your NPV at lower rate? 13,770. What is your NPV at higher rate? Negative 5,130, correct? Your lower rate is 10%, higher rate is 20%. All the information is given. Can you apply this formula and tell me what is the IRR? See, NA is NPV at RA. What is RA? Lower rate. What is RB? Higher rate. This is NA. This is NB. So can you all tell me how much is IRR? Apply the formula and tell me. Your time starts now.
Ma'am, 0.1722.
Others, what answer did you all get? Apply the formula correctly, guys, and use the logic also. What is IRR? IRR is the rate at which your NPV becomes what? 0, right? So you know that at 10%, your NPV was positive. At 20%, it was negative. So use your common sense. Don't you think your IRR should be somewhere between 10 and 20%? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So how can it be 0. What did you all get? The answer? That cannot be the...
15.9, ma'am.
How much did you get?
15.9.
15.9%. Did you all apply the formula?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see if that's the right answer. So, everybody pay attention because here maths, basic maths is also involved. While you're calculating, what is your L? What is your lower rate? 10. Plus, what is your NPV at lower rate? 13,770 divided by what is your NPV at lower rate? 13,770 minus, again there is minus, so this minus of minus will become plus. I hope you all have taken that into consideration. Into 20 minus 10. Correct. So solve this and tell me how much you all are getting. And again, when you're doing this, guys, basic maths, first you have to Do the brackets. Then you have to add. Everyone. First you have to do
17.22, ma'am.
Let's check. So 10 plus, first you have to do 13,770 divided by 13,770 plus 5,130. So how much is it?
19,050.
Here you will get 8,900, no? Minus of minus will become plus, right? Into 20 minus 10 is 10. So first you have to do this part. This is basic maths, guys. 13,770 divided by 18,900 into 10. You'll get 7.28 plus 10. So how much do you get? 17.28%. This is your IRR. Did you all get this answer? Basic maths, guys. You should first do the brackets and then add. You remember in 8th standard you had studied BODMAS rule? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is your answer? It is 17.28% is your IRR. So what is the meaning of this? If we use 17.28%, now here we use 10% and then we use 20%, right? So if I use 17.28% to convert my future cash flows to present value, that time I will get a NPV of how much? What will be my NPV if I use 17.28% as a discount rate? Which one? Tell me. How much will be my NPV? If I use 17.28%, what is my NPV, guys? What is the meaning of NPV?
Zero.
Zero. Why is it taking so long to respond? Is it clear? So what is the meaning of NPV? Or what is the meaning of IRR? It is the rate. It is a discount rate which will make your NPV zero. And it has to be between 10 and 20%. I hope you all understood that logic.
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
it has to be between. Okay. So one more question. Let's see if you all can answer this.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, can we have 5 minutes of break?
Sure. Take 5 minutes of break. Don't go outside because if you'll go out, when you come back, it'll be too late. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, guys, let's continue. I gave you all a good 10 minutes break,
Ma'am, you can start the class.
but I can't see you all.
Ma'am, we can't see on the video.
Okay, fix it by tomorrow for tomorrow's class. Okay, can you all try this question, guys? Now, you have one positive NPV and one negative NPV, right? So, I want you all to apply the formula. But this time when you're applying the formula, please do it properly. What is the formula? Tell me. L plus NPV at lower rate divided by NPV at lower rate minus NPV at higher rate into H minus L will give you your IRR. So, can you all apply the formula? Tell me. You can take two rates, 18 and 20, or any two rates you can take. It's up to you. So, let's say 18 and 20. So, how much will it be? What is your lower rate? 18. What is the NPV at lower rate? Please tell me. You tell me. What is the NPV at lower rate? Respond. How much is it? What is the NPV at a lower rate, which is your 18%? How much is the NPV? Respond. What is your NPV at lower rate?
20%, ma'am.
What is your NPV at lower rate?
12,720.
Very good. 12,720 divided by 12,720 minus what is your NPV at higher rate? How much?
940, ma'am.
940. So it is negative 940 into H minus L, that is 20 minus 18. Can you all solve this? Do the math. Remember, minus of minus will become plus. So it is 18 plus 12,720 divided by 12,720 plus 940, which is 13,660 into 20 minus 18 is 2. So first solve this part and then add the 18 and tell me what is the answer. How much do you get?
Nineteen 19.86, ma'am.
19.86. And it makes sense. This is your IRR. So now there was a shortcut method to solve this. What is the shortcut method? Your IRR has to be between 18 and 20%. Logically, without applying the formula, you can tell it has to be between 18 to 20% because at 18% it is positive, at 20% it is negative. And we know IRR is the rate at which your NPV becomes 0. So it has to be between 18 and 20. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
This is how you save time in the exam. And you choose the right answer. But then since we are doing this concept for the first time, I wanted you all to solve it like this. So understood how to get the answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts? Understood the math?
Yes, ma'am.
So everybody knows how to calculate the IRR and you also know what is the decision criteria. So can I say IRR is the rate at which, can I write it? IRR is nothing but when your present value of cash inflows is equal to present value of cash outflows. Can I say this? Is this correct if I say it like this?
Ma'am, can you repeat again?
Can I write it this way? Present value of cash inflows is equal to present value of cash outflows. Can I write it this way? I can, right? Because whenever your present value of cash inflow, let's say, is 100 and your present value of cash outflow is also 100. So what will be your NPV? 0. So IRR is the rate at which your NPV becomes 0. What is NPV? NPV is the sum of discounted cash flows. Are you all understanding?
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
doubts? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
The meaning of IRR.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have discussed about NPV also. We have discussed about IRR also. Now NPV is better or IRR is better? Definitely NPV is better because I've told you all earlier also, right? That NPV is considered to be the what? Best method out of all the other methods. Have we discussed this or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me share my screen. So we discussed about cash flows, relevant cash flows, what are the duration. Then we also saw, so can I say we discussed about payback, discounted payback, NPV and IRR? You know all the meanings now? Correct? Any doubts? Because I'm going to keep a test
Yes, ma'am.
next week. So I want you all to know this. Okay. Then we also saw about, yeah, we discussed about this. Now, what are the benefits of NPV? Why do we say NPV is the best method? Because it talks about the profitability of the project. Then, and it also tells by how much the shareholder wealth is changing because it gives us a proper dollar figure, unlike your payback period, which only tells you how much time it takes to recover. Or if I'm talking about your IRR, it is just a percentage, whereas NPV is a proper dollar amount, right? And it also takes time value of money into account. It can be used to manage risk in a project by adjusting the required rate of return. Like, for example, I can see what is my NPV at 10%. I can also see what is my NPV at 20%. So I can adjust and do it. And it also enables ranking of potential projects according to their expected returns. Higher NPV can be given more priority. Also, it has some disadvantages that it assumes that all cash flows will be reinvested at the required rate of return, that is at the same rate of return every time, which may not be the case. It does not provide an expected rate of return, that is, it is not a percentage. Then there is risk of incorrect assumptions, that is ultimately what happens in NPV. We are estimating the future cash flows, right? So that problem, what if our estimates are only not proper? And also the firm's actual cost of capital may vary significantly from the discount rate used in the NPV. But in spite of all these limitations, in spite of all these disadvantages, we still feel that NPV method is considered to be the best method, even if you take IRR into consideration. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And the benefits of IRR is what? IRR also takes time value of money into consideration. IRR can be compared with the required rate of return to decide. That is the decision criteria and it is easier for managers to understand. But what are the disadvantages of IRR, guys? One, that it is just a percentage. Now, look over here. IRR also assumes that the cash flows from the project will be reinvested at IRR, but not necessary that the next project we will be using at IRR itself. So that is why they are saying this is one of the disadvantages. Look at this point. They are saying if the project is non-conventional, what is the meaning of non-conventional? For example, We saw two situations, right? Where the cash flows are even, that is same every year, or it could be uneven. Now, if the cash flows are non-conventional or if it is unconventional, you know what is the meaning of it? Let's say first year you'll get positive, second year negative, third year again positive, fourth year negative, fifth year negative, then again positive. So, irregular cash flows. Correct? If the cash flows are irregular, that means they're not consistent, they're not steady. Once positive, then again negative. Hagidre, then it will lead to more than one IRR. And if it is more than one IRR, don't you think it will not help us in decision making? Correct? It does not help us in decision making. Correct? So that is one of the disadvantage of IRR. And then when investments are mutually exclusive. Now, what is the word meaning mutually exclusive? Now, let's say that two of your best friends are getting married. All right, in the future. And one wedding is in US and the other one is in Europe. And it is on the same day. Now, can you attend both the weddings, guys? Are you all there?
No, ma'am.
You can't, right? Why? Because it's on the same day and also both are in different corners of the world, right? It's one is in US, one is in Europe. So how will you decide which wedding to attend? How will you decide whose wedding to attend? Both are your best friends, but how will you decide? Tell me, it's just a fun question.
No, ma'am. Can you repeat that?
Okay, so let's say two of your best friends are getting married on the same day. One wedding is taking place in US, the other one is taking place in Europe. All right, and it is on the same day. And both are your best friends. You can't go to both the weddings, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We can't go.
You have to choose any one. Which wedding you will go, US one or Europe one? How will you decide whose wedding to attend?
Whoever is close, we can attend.
Okay, so Nisarga is saying that whoever she is closer to, she'll attend that wedding. What about others? How will you decide? Others, are you all there? So, I will decide based on where the food is good.
Yes, ma'am. 100%.
So there are so many criteria to decide, right? Now, similarly, if I'm using the word mutually exclusive projects, if you come across this word called mutually exclusive projects, it means that both the projects, let's say there are two projects, A and B, project A and project B. Both these projects are using the same resource. And because they're using the same resource, I cannot take both the projects. I have to choose either project A or either project B. And when I'm talking about projects, what will be the decision criteria to decide whether I have to go with project A or project B? Based on its?
Which is having more profit.
Very good. Based on its profits, based on its returns, whichever is giving me more returns, I will choose that project, right? So whenever you get mutually exclusive projects, you have to choose the project which will give you a higher NPV. Got it? So when there are mutually exclusive decisions that involve different size projects or different cash flow patterns, IRR is not useful. So only NPV is useful. So that is why they're saying it is a limitations. Limitation means disadvantage. One of the disadvantage of IRR is that when investments are mutually exclusive, that means they're of different sizes or having different cash flow patterns, the information provided by IRR may not be useful. But NPV helps you in such situations. And that is why we say NPV is a better technique than IRR. Clear? Why IRR is not suitable? Because IRR is just a rate of return, right? A project with smaller initial investment can show a higher IRR than the project which requires larger investments. But that does not mean that the one with smaller investment is more profitable than the bigger one. That's why it is not giving a clear picture. That is why we emphasize on NPV and not IRR. Got it? Everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ. Okay. So that's about it. So today, what did we discuss, guys? We discussed about the concept called what?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, can you share this PDF with us?
I have shared, no, the hawk. The textbook, I have shared it with you all, right? You will have not got access to your hawk materials.
Ma'am, whatever you explained today,
Uh-huh.
that's like we need, ma'am.
Okay, sure. I'll put it over here in the chat box. You can download it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So today, what did we discuss? Quickly tell me. All of you summarize what we discussed today. What is it?
IRR,
IRR. What is the meaning of IRR?
internal rates of return.
Internal rate of return. What does IRR tell us?
Higher the percentage, lower the NPV.
Yeah, that is a discount rate that we're talking about. But what is IRR? IRR is the rate at which your NPV will be
Zero.
0. So if that IRR is also a percentage, but this percentage will make your IRR 0. So what is the decision criteria for us to decide whether to accept or reject a project?
If IRR is greater, then we'll accept it. Then if
IRR is, yes, that's right, Nisarga. But IRR is greater than what?
cost of capital.
Very good. If the IRR is greater than your cost of capital, what are the different terms used for cost of capital or different names?
Hurdle rate.
Hurdle rate, discount rate, weighted average cost of capital. These are the different names that we can use. Clear, everybody? So tomorrow we will continue with section E and we'll also do some MCQs, exam type from IRR. Okay?
Third month.
Okay then. Bye bye. Take care. See you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Bye, man.
Bye.